like to call the meeting to order. This is Rules and Open Government Committee meeting for April 3rd, 2013. Any changes to the agenda order? Seeing none, we'll take up April 9th council meeting agenda. Anything to talk about on page 1?
Mayor, I've got 10 items on proposed on closed session agenda, and it's a fairly lengthy labor presentation. I would request that we start at 9 o'clock.
Okay, 9 o'clock. Anything else on 1, page 2 or 3? Anything on page 4 or 5? How about 6 or 7? Anything on page 8 or 9? On page 9, I have a request to defer item 3.5, the resolution on amending the United States Constitution, to some future date, April 23rd, I believe. That's a request of Councilor Licardo and others on that. And that would still leave item 3.4 to be heard last, no earlier than 3. Anything else on page 8 or 9? Page 9 or 10? 10 or 11? Page 12 or 13? I'd like to talk about what time we do the ground lease and operating agreement items at the airport.
You want to do it after consent?
Well, if we do it after consent, I think that would be good. That's the most important item, I think, on the agenda. We've been at this a while, so maybe just taking it up after consent is the best time to do it. There have been several hearings on it already, so I don't think it's going to take a huge amount of time, but it's got quite a bit of interest. Anything on page 14 or 15, which are the, 14 is the Housing Authority agenda on the 2014 annual plan. I have one request for an addition. That's presentation of accommodation at International Technological University by Councilor Licardo. Any other requests for changes or additions?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Since item 3.4 and 3.5 both deal with the federal government, which is out of the city's control, does it make sense to defer that item to that same date?
3.4 is a recommendation to support regulation of menthol. Well, there was a request for staff to do some work on that. I don't know if it's, I haven't seen a staff report. I don't know if there's staff is prepared to talk about where we are with the federal government's efforts on that or not.
Betsy Shotwell, Director of Intergovernmental Relations. Thank you, Mayor. Well, the latest I have actually from our lobbyist firm, Patton Boggs in Washington, D.C., is that under the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, the FDA Tobacco Products Scientific Advisory Committee is required to study this issue and the impact of the use of menthol in cigarettes on public health. And I'm reading the email. While the Tobacco Control Act does not set a deadline for FDA to act on the committee recommendations provided, the agency recognizes a strong interest in this issue among all stakeholders. So that's where this is. Now, I know the original memo from council asked, I believe, for the resolution to be submitted by June or before June. Yeah, FDA needs to receive resolutions before June of this year. I haven't been able to verify that, but that was in the memo originally. But
Mr. Mayor? Would
Yes.
staff be doing a scientific advisory type of report?
No, I don't think so. I think staff should endeavor to do as little work as possible just to answer those basic questions, I think, is sufficient. So I don't know if that's time sensitive or not. Let me ask Councilmember Chu, who just came in, to talk about that. Councilmember Chu, we had a request to defer the item on amending the United States Constitution to April 23rd. And the question was whether or not we should also defer the other federal action regarding regulation of menthol to April 23rd. And since you had asked for that, or at least we're one of the signatories on the memo, if you have any information on how quickly we might need to take this up.
No, I don't.
So that would be fine to defer it on the same date? Great.
Okay. Both of those to April 23rd. Then any other changes, comments, corrections, additions? I have some requests to speak. Martha O'Connell.
Speaking on 4.2, I support inclusionary housing and affordable housing. And I need to tell you something I found out in the last 48 hours, which is really shocking. There's a new homeless encampment 500 feet away from a preschool and 500 feet away from a senior park. These are vulnerable populations. I caught them jumping the fence to go into our laundry room, the sauna room, to use the shower. I've already contacted the preschool. They're very upset. I called the police department. I was kept on hold for half an hour, and I finally hung up. So we've got a problem with these encampments. They're now in South San Jose, and they're unsanitary. I visited it this morning. It's a scary place, and it's near small children and vulnerable seniors.
Mr. Wall?
Sir, item 4.2, I definitely do not like anything to do with this housing impact fee and the inclusionary housing nexus study. I'd like to see this just eliminated from further discussion. With reference to the comments made by Martha, she's absolutely right about these homeless encampments. As you very well know, city cannot control them. You need to send a plea to the governor for the California National Guard. On item 5.1, the anti-graffiti litter program report, I can give you the report right now. The program is a failure, sir, primarily because the council has not created legislation to deter graffiti and littering. And so it's all over the place, as you very well know. I would like to give you great accolade, Mr. Mayor, on item 6.1. Your staff and yourself has worked very hard for the signature flight support for the west side of the airport. I think this will be one of your crowning achievements with reference to the airport. I think you've done an outstanding job, and you should be thanked and heralded for doing a great job. Thank you, sir.
That concludes public testimony on this agenda. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve with the amendments, and there's no sunshine, and the additions.
Second.
Motion is to approve with the modifications we've discussed. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. That's approved. Next item would be April 16th, draft agenda. Anything on page 9?
Page 1.
I'm sorry. Try to mix it up a little bit, if you're paying attention. How about page 1? Start at the beginning. Okay, anything page 2 or 3? Page 4 or 5? I had a note that item 4.1, economic strategy update and proposed 18-month work plan might be moved to another date. Is that just rumor?
This is actually, sorry, this is the date where it will appear. It's
Okay,
being
so this
deferred from the 9th.
is the new date. So, anything else on page 4 or 5? Page 6 or 7 are the evening items. Anything on those pages? We have no written requests for additions. Are there any other changes? One request to speak, Mr. Wall.
Item 9.1, designation of chief financial officer for the successor agency to the redevelopment agency. I was wondering if you're going to approve the appointment of city's director of finance for this position, will she be able to be paid extra? I mean, she's taken on a whole big job here, and I think there should be some form of compensation in addition to her city salary. But, sir, there's also a looming problem with the successor agency because of its no longer ability to fund itself without help from the general fund. And so we know this year, up to June, I believe, is what, $1.3 million that's coming from the general fund to fund the salaries and infrastructure for the successor agency. I do not know after, June 30th, but from June 30th till December 31st will be like, and from there on and therefore. So I think we need to see it rule some financial breakdown as to how much money this is going to cost. Back to this position though, Mr. Mayor, is the Director of Finance going to be able to basically double dip, so to speak, or is there going to be some form of financial compensation to take on this very big and responsible financial task to monitor the debts that you and the rest of the council members for decades have got us into? Thank you.
That concludes public testimony. A motion?
Motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Motion is to approve the agenda. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No opposed, that's approved. I don't think we have any upcoming study session agendas to discuss. Legislative update, we just heard from Betsy Shotwell, who has nothing else to add. Meeting schedules, we have nothing, I think, to consider at this time. Public record, anything the committee would like to pull for discussion? I have one request to speak. Mr. Wall.
Sir, with reference to item B, what is the status of South Bay Water funding and refunds? And I believe refunds should be made to all ratepayers. Now, sir, the whole Reclaim Water project, as everyone knows, was predicated on protecting endangered species and their habitat. The endangered species was the salt marsh harvest mouse and the California clapper rail, and I think their habitat was like some pickleweed. But studies after studies, sir, and it has been given to the state of California as part of our NPDES permit, has shown that treated plant effluent has never at any time threatened these species. But the city of San Jose still moves forward using the sewer service and use charge as basically the base funding for this white elephant project that has become, in all sense, a water utility. And so, Mr. Mayor, I think we need to come clean about South Bay water recycling and why the water district, for example, Mr. Mayor, is not too happy with what's going on with the Environmental Services Department's lack of cooperation in this regard. But there's a lot of money, hundreds of millions of dollars have been spent on this thing, in my opinion, Mr. Mayor, that should not have been spent. And it is certainly not needed now because flows are so low to the plant that it doesn't even merit it under the original order. So we need to discuss this, sir. Thank you.
That concludes public testimony. The public record does include an item transmitted from the administration regarding a report back from Department of Transportation on senior pedestrian safety, freight loading for John 23rd Senior Center, and restrictions on sidewalk and bike riding. So we need to accept that as part of the motion, I guess.
Motion no file?
Second.
Motion would be to note and file the public record and accept the report regarding follow-up actions.
Yes.
Okay, that is the motion. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And opposed, that's approved. We have nothing on boards, commissions, and committees to discuss at this time. We have a item G2, request from Councilmember Chu to adopt a resolution in support of Assembly Bill 503, Agnews Development Center transfer title. Councilmember Chu's here. Want to speak to your memo?
Thank you, Mayor, and my colleagues on the Rules Committee. I'm here to ask that you consider placing an item on the next City Council agenda to adopt a resolution to support Assembly Bill 503. AB 503, which was introduced by State Assembly Member Bob Wachowski on February the 20th, requires the California Department of General Services, or DGS, to transfer the title of the Agnews Development Center to the Santa Clara Unified School District for educational purposes at a fair market value. With the passage of this bill, it will allow a mutual understanding between the DGS and the school district regarding the price for the sale of the Agnews property. Adoption of this resolution from the City of San Jose will confirm our local government support at the state level, and this has been a long time effort since the approval of the North San Jose Neighborhood Plan by the City of San Jose in 2009, that we need a space to build a school, a school site. And I would like to thank the Santa Clara Unified School District, North San Jose, and El Viso community for sharing their concern with me. I hope that we can move forward with obtaining the Agnews site for a school campus, and also wanted to thank Jim Canova from the Santa Clara Unified School District board members here today. So at this time, I would respectfully ask that the Rules Committee consider putting this item for a full council discussion. Thank you.
Okay, I do have some requests to speak on this item. I'll take that now. Rocky Fernandez.
Hi, Rocky Fernandez, District Director for Assemblymember Wachowski. We really appreciate your consideration of taking this up at the council level, and would love your support so we can continue to build a groundswell of support for this up in Sacramento and give the district another tool with which to move this project forward. Thank you.
Before you go, yeah,
Yep.
a couple of questions. The timing on the bill and the processing, it's still sort of early in the legislative session.
It is.
How
it
quickly
is.
do we need to get a resolution, I guess, is the question.
The sooner the better. Most of the bills are going through the first policy committee in the next few weeks here, and it's not, to my knowledge, set for a hearing yet, but will be taken up in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So time is of the essence.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor Oliverio had a question.
Rocky.
Yeah.
So essentially, as another government entity, the school district, couldn't they just, purchase property from another entity, or is this a part of the process that they can't even consider a bid or an MOU until this bill is passed?
The bill is to try to push forward the issue because it's understood there's some, I want to say, hesitancy from the state to actually move this forward, but it's clear that the community supports this, that the school district has already taken many steps to move this forward. It's just kind of this is to prod the state to move forward with the project.
So you're saying the state is hesitant in selling the property altogether? They'd just rather hold on to it, or?
I'm not going to speak for the state, but so far it hasn't happened, and already we've taken several steps. The district's already taken several steps to move this project forward, and believe that the community is in support of this as well as the district. So this is kind of a, hey, let's get moving on this project. It's time to go. The state feels this way, and get the executive branch to move forward with this.
Sure, and has the state shared any alternative uses for the site?
Not to my knowledge, but I would have to get back to you on that.
And then understanding that the site was sort of a partial build out of the old Sun Microsystems campus, is that contiguous here, or what's the portion that's still left? And maybe Canson, if you had a comment.
No, this is separate. It's called Agnew East. The one has already built out was the Agnew West side.
What's that major intersection?
Would be River Oaks and Denker.
Got it. And then question for staff on, was there any more public comment, Mr. Mayor?
There are.
Okay, I'll hold off, thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll come back to you. Jim Canova.
Thank you, Mayor Reed. And Bobby Plow, our superintendent, wanted to attend today. Unfortunately, she was not able to, so I'm happy to be here. My name is Jim Canova. I actually serve on the Santa Clara Unified School Board. I represent Trustee Area 1, which includes North San Jose and El Viso. First and foremost, Bobby sends great thanks, and of course I join her in that to Canson and all your efforts. And Mayor Reed, too. I mean, you've been just a strong proponent for us on this process. Some of the questions alluded to, some of the issues along the way. As Mayor Reed knows very well, because you've been with us since the beginning, we followed through all the steps we need to. I think probably the most polite way to describe it is we're maybe caught up a little bit in the bureaucracy at this point, and we need a little help in greasing the wheels so that we can get this done. In terms of the expansion, North San Jose, if any of you come our way from time to time, the growth there is just at breakneck speed. I mean, I've lived there a long time, and is breathtaking. I mean, we really are building out tremendously. And when it comes to land for us to build new schools for this new increasing population, this is it. This is the land we have to build on. This would include a K-8 campus, and then down the road, a brand new high school campus, which would be just really critical to our future. So we're grateful for your support. We're grateful to the Assembly members for your support. Thank you so very much to Bob Waskowski. And we will definitely be here when it shows up on your regular agenda to express your support there as well. But thank you for all the hard work, because I know in both of your cases you've done tremendous work on our behalf. Thank you.
Vladimir Rakin?
Good afternoon. My name is Vladimir Rakin, and I'm member of Santa Clara Unified School District Citizen Bond Oversight Committee.
Can I get you just a little closer to the microphone?
Okay. I would like to read my statement. As all you know, majority of people who live in northern San Jose is computer science and high-tech professionals. They want to see their children advancing in math and science in school. In 2010, our citizen passed measure age and would like to build a new good school at Agnews. But not only a general good school, but school with special emphasis on math, science, and modern technology. They want to see school to be not worse than in the best school in Palo Alto and Cupertino. And they would like to see creative cooperation between school district, city, and high-tech companies. And I understand that, especially this year, real estate price going up, it will be difficult to achieve this, but I would like your support for Bill 503, please, and I hope it will be done successfully. Thank you.
David Wall?
Sir, this project smirks of somewhat of a hypocrisy for the city of San Jose. First of all, you've allowed unbridled growth in North San Jose to create basically a housing glut. You knew that this was going to impact the schools, but you did nothing up till today. Also, you've been allowing, with this housing glut, to destroy valuable industrial land that could be used to get businesses here. So I'm not sympathetic as to the need to use Agnews property for a school. Also, you've repeatedly stabbed public schools in the back via your support for rocket ship schools and assuming some of their bond issues. So there again, you're attacking public schools. But the big issue here, Mr. Mayor, is where are you going to start putting the mentally ill population that is in San Jose in the thousands, if not tens of thousands of people? So this was a former mental ill asylum, and I don't understand why the buildings there couldn't be used to house some of the mentally ill people that are routinely found and picked up on the street by our fire department and our police department. Now, the speakers here are correct from the Santa Clara or the school district. They have no other place to build a school. But you knew this years ago, and you continue to go forward with the Irvine Company's plans to develop North San Jose, the McCarthy Ranch people. Mr. Mayor, all these people were players with the Treatment Plan Advisory Committee and odor control. So there's a lot of shenanigans that have been going on for years about pressing, finally, this issue to use Agnews property for a school district where you've had plenty of opportunity to accommodate the growth of schools. And this is very shameful that the school district will have to be in this position at the last moment to beg for mercy. Thank you.
That concludes the public testimony. I had a couple of things to add. I think a central problem in here is not money. at least the school district has money. It's how much money the state wants for the site. And for whatever reason, the state is not yet willing to accept the fact that the school district and the city want a school on this site. And it's general planned, public, quasi-public. We've always intended it to be for school use in the 10 years we've been working on it with the school district. But the state hasn't really internalized that message very well, and they believe that they can still sell it to some corporate entity that's going to put millions of square feet there. And so they think it has a higher value than as a school site. So I would certainly support the resolution. The resolution that was attached to the memo ought to be added to make clear that the city supports the school use on the site and its general plan for public, quasi-public, and that's what it ought to be, school and parks, because we've taken several actions on this over the years officially. So this is another one just to communicate to the state what our joint position is with the city and the school district. The developers want a school there. The people who live there want a school there. The people who work there want a school there. We all want a school there. Everybody except the state GSA, and I think they're intent on trying to maximize their revenues from the site, which is partly their job, which is why probably we'll have to carry legislation in order to allow them to do something different than what they're intending to do, or to make them do something different than what they're intended to do. But I don't think there's any doubt that we absolutely need a school on this site to handle the kids of North San Jose. Councilor Oliverio, do you have any additional questions?
Yeah, I would like, before it comes to council, for staff to call someone at the state and ask, is there another use that you're considering for public use? Obviously, Mr. Wall brought up a point of what the land was used prior, and there's obviously a great need, and if I just want to be certain that the state has no plans on doing that, because the fact is that would be a hard use to locate anywhere. And but I just want them to tell me no, or that they're considering something else. In addition,
I can answer that question.
Okay,
they have made all the decisions and closed down the current use, so it's not a developmental site. That's not what their intention is. The last public use the state was considering on the site was for a prison, and that was during the Schwarzenegger administration, and they eventually decided it wasn't a good place for a prison, and so then it was, well, we're going to sell it and get as much money out of it as we can. So my office has talked several times to the GSA people, as has the school district. So they're just looking at what's it worth, and the school district has got $60-some million to use to acquire the site, but the state wants more.
fair enough. Well, provided that alternative, that would certainly, the school, and I'm certainly not against the school. I just want to understand what was the background, because there obviously is a reason and I understood there's some of the bureaucracies, but sometimes with the bureaucracy there's intention, and that I think explains that, so that helps me. And then to Mr. Canova, we're not going to be able to control as a city what you build on the school, but can you tell me if the district was fortunate, would they build a more urban school, meaning stories to preserve space? Yeah, that'd be great. Would they build a taller school to preserve more land for fields, et cetera, give you options?
Mayor Reed already knows, even with the land acquired and going forward, one component in the development of it is the state has interest in a historic landmark piece to the property because of the Agnews site that was there for so many years. So if you're familiar with the property, there's a water tower there that the state has a historical interest in preserving. So there would be some components to the site that would address a historical piece to the land. In terms of going forward, we initially would have a K-8, and in terms of our area, Santa Clara Unified has about 15,000 students, and currently George Main Elementary, for example, which is in Alviso, currently our students go over to Don Calajon, which is a K-8 campus, which is right on the other side of the Guadalupe River in Rivermark. And then so some middle school kids will go there. And then all our high school kids have to be bused over to Wilcox High School primarily. The future of this area would be just so incredible for North San Jose and Alviso, because our kids from Maine would be able to go to their own high school campus in the future, which would be close to home.
I appreciate that. I'm just saying, I would encourage you, because as a city I can't you know, again, it's, you have your own land use via the state and you build, but I would encourage you to maximize the land and build tall.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and don't build all stubby one-story school, build something tall.
The K-8 campus would have to be built tall. If you've ever have a chance to look at our Don Calajon campus, which is in Rivermark, it's a multi-story facility. It's beautifully designed, a great architect did the work. The high school campus would be multi-story. And then also just getting back to the whole urban theme here is that the savings in transportation would be profound. I mean, it would be huge. I mean, we are, in Santa Clara Unified, we're referred to as north of Bayshore. That's been the reference for years. But for years and years and years, we've had the lightest population. That's all changing now.
Yeah.
That is all changing now. It's a dramatic change. It's a dramatic change for the city.
And question for you on all the housing that we built there, which is high density, your enrollment, you have seen significant uptick from that geography to elementary, and
we already are, and going forward, it's just going to be more intense. I mean, the population growth there, as I say, going forward, the numbers that we've seen in terms of the study sessions we've had, we're talking about perhaps 30,000 more residents in that area. That's just huge. It's really staggering, actually. And but going to the roots of the area, that what will be just so wonderful is for the folks who have lived there for so many years, and the Alviso kids in particular, to have a high school campus so close to home, that will be amazing. And then the K-8 campus, too, will be exciting.
Thank you. And I know all along the North San Jose intention was for a high school, and so this may just be the very site, so thank you for the feedback.
Well, no, you're welcome. And again, thank you so much, Mayor Reed and Canson, because I know you've been working hard at this for quite some time.
And would like to note that the school district has looked at every possible site up there, and this is by far the best. Anything else on this? Staff, how long do we need to do the resolution and get it on the agenda? And
We
all
just
that
need to
sort of stuff?
post it. We typically, when we take positions on legislation, you do letters or get the support. We can do the resolution. If we get a sunshine waiver, we could do it by next Tuesday. Otherwise, come back on the 16th might be easier.
I don't think there are any issues around sunshine on this. Certainly consistent with all the previous actions we've done, but we could do it the 16th and not have to worry about a sunshine waiver.
Whatever you prefer, Mayor.
16th?
April. Motion approved for April 16 meeting.
Right.
Second.
Motion is to put it on for the 16th. I would like the resolution to refer to the
Got
general
that.
plan and just our view of the property.
General plan and that the city supports the
Right.
school.
On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Not opposed, that's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is G3. It's a District 10 Community Safety Fair.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is to approve it as a city-sponsored special event. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. That's approved. We have two bills to take up, SB 341 DeSaulnier and AB 5 Amiano. Betsy Shotwell's here if we have any questions on those. The recommendation is to get them on the council agenda on the 9th, correct? I have one request to speak on one of those two bills. Mr. Wall?
Sir, with reference to SB 341, I would recommend that you do not support this. The city has a sizable and performing portfolio of housing assets that generates a positive cash flow. I think this positive cash flow shouldn't be directed into ongoing, well, it has to be to ongoing administrative costs, but no more program activity. You should be using this money to pay down the debts that you've incurred with reference to housing. Now, I'm really tired of hearing your push for affordable housing issues, Mr. Mayor, because these affordable housing units don't pay property taxes, and they need a lot of services, generally. And so why should the rest of the residents have to put up with these type of projects that cause problems, and they don't pay taxes on top of it? Then we see part of this fund that is discussed in this bill is for more affordable housing development and for homeless prevention and rapid rehousing services. Well, that's pretty objectionable on the grounds that it's vague and ambiguous. Homeless prevention, that's really a good one. And rapid housing service, rehousing services. We've seen that some of the people from the former encampment colloquially known as Camp Chuck Sam were given rent vouchers to come into our neighborhoods at taxpayers' expense, where they should have been just shoved off the city borders and let somebody else pick them up. No, Mr. Mayor, this bill is a bad bill. With reference to AB 5, Amiano has put this forth many times before. This is not a homelessness like special, this is an entitlement program that sets homeless people apart from everybody else. And that's just plain wrong. I mean, for example, if this bill was allowed, those people that were behind in that encampment that was shut down the other day, they could just give you the finger and say, hey, we have rights to put up our little tents wherever we want. And St. James Park, down to City Hall, there's all sorts of people that are camping.
Sorry, your time is up.
Thank you.
That concludes public testimony. So we have a staff recommendation to support SB 341 and to oppose AB 5.
Motion to approve both.
Mayor,
Support staff recommendations.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
On SB 341. I'm reading the synopsis here, but it sounds like, and forgive me if I'm wrong here, we already have housing assets and a housing department, and that portfolio creates some revenue, and then we're able to finance new housing. Today, how is this different, or what would this enable you to do that you couldn't do today?
So thank you very much for the question, Councilmember. I'm Mike Shin with the Housing Department, Kristen Clements with the Housing Department as well. Quick background. So as you know, redevelopment agencies have been dissolved. However, the underlying law that governed redevelopment agencies have not changed. What SB 341 does is to update the law in order to align with current realities. What that means for San Jose and for the Housing Department is that there are currently parts of the law that are no longer relevant or that could be overly burdensome in order to continue to manage the former 20% funds. The Housing Director has been participating in the development of this bill to ensure that there's flexibility for San Jose in order to meet current and local housing needs. So 4 specific things that this bill would do. Number one is that it would allow more funds to be used for senior housing. And as we've heard in previous public comment, that is a need in San Jose. It would also allow for pooling of funds between jurisdictions to, if some cities have a smaller amount of funding, to pool it with other jurisdictions in order to get some economies of scale there. Number 3 is that there would be ensuring of adequate funding to administer the loan portfolio. And number 4 is to simplify reporting and to streamline that process in order to be less burdensome in order to do annual reporting. For example, reporting on the annual housing element. So those are 4 specific areas in which this would help streamline the management of the funds and to oversee the housing program locally.
And is this what's sometimes referred to as cleanup legislation?
Exactly.
And then understanding on the senior housing, is it going to mandate that for each dollar you spend that a certain percentage be only for senior housing?
It'll go up to a cap of 50% of the funds for senior housing. So what it is right now is that jurisdictions can spend a proportion of the funding for low-income senior population relative to the entire low-income population of the city. This will allow that flexibility to go up to 50%.
But it doesn't actually increase the pool of money San Jose would have?
It wouldn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so pooling, so Los Gatos could give us their money, and we could put that into a project in San Jose.
Sure, or Santa Clara could take their money and do some in Santa Clara.
Okay. And then the streamline is, I guess the reporting process is burdensome and arduous?
It's just one other report that needs to be done, so any effort to streamline that process would be helpful.
Okay. And then just at the end summation, the bill does not create any new revenue for the purposes of providing affordable housing. It's just really, to your point, clean up legislation and streamline the process.
That's exactly right, and provide some flexibility to manage current realities.
Okay, thank you. That would be a second on the motion.
All right, so we have a motion to approve the staff recommendations on both bills. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unopposed? That's approved. Item H2 is next. That's a request to amend Neighborhood Service and Education Committee work plan for the June 13th meeting. Get fit, be strong, eat healthy report.
Motion to approve.
Second with a question.
Motion is to approve. Councilmember Oliverio?
When amending the work plan of the committee, do you necessarily have to have the chair sign off, or is it?
The committee the Rules Committee has the authority to add to it. Typically, it's coordinated with the chair.
Okay, thank you.
On the
Yeah,
mo-
I am the chair of
Ed?
that.
I thought Councilmember Constant was still the chair, so.
No, I am.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion to add that to the work plan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. That's approved. That's it on the business items. Open forum. Martha O'Connell.
I just want to tell you something that happened in January and figure out a better way to do things, maybe. I was watching a council meeting. I was home ill with pneumonia, and there was a motion put on the floor by Constant and Campos based on a Herrera memo. So I'm at home in front of my computer, and there's no memo. And they keep talking about the memo. It's not on the screen. It's not on the agenda. So I asked the city clerk's office what happened, and they told me that they didn't get it until 19 minutes after 1. And they said that if you're watching a council meeting at home, you have to refresh your browser. And the point is that I'm pretty savvy with things that happen down here, and I didn't know that, so I can imagine that there's a lot of people watching these meetings and not understanding that if a memo is submitted at the last minute, it's not going to be in the agenda packets. I don't know what you guys can do to improve the process concurrent with the goals of transparent government, but maybe there's a better way to do things than have these memos posted at 1:19 and not available to the public unless you know to, quote, refresh your browser, unquote. Thank you.
Jeff Bedolla.
I'm back to speak on the resolution pertaining to Proposition 8 that I spoke earlier about. These are my comments. I spoke out against San Jose's resolution supporting San Francisco's brief in the Prop 8 case. Last Saturday, I wrote a letter to the editor criticizing the Mercury's March 27th editorial in hopes of sparking constructive discussion. Then, the Mercury ran a story on Kwame Harris, who stated that he is a homosexual. See, I don't believe any such thing, that there is such a category as, such a thing as homosexuality as a distinct category. There is only personal development and functioning, proper or otherwise. Then there is social phenomena connected with it. It's all a big rationalization. Homosexuality represents a blocked stage of development. So does granting it personal acceptance and social approval. This is really a big issue, and there's not enough in 2 minutes to speak on all that needs to be said. Thank you.
David Wall.
Is a packet I received from Mr. Reed, I guess no relation, of the San Jose Silicon Valley Chamber of Commerce. It's a questionnaire that they give candidates. And Mr. Mayor, you ought to check out some of these questions. Now, I, for one, I'm not going to answer any of what they want. I could care less about this group. I think that anybody that goes down this path is basically whoring for an endorsement. And it's just so interesting to me. That's why I brought it forward, so you could see what they're up to. The other issue, Mr. Mayor, a story in today's local page by the venerable wordsmith, Mr. John Wolfbuck, about you wanting to talk face-to-face with old Selig, a Major League Baseball commissioner. Well, sir, if I was a Major League Baseball commissioner and you're threatening to sue my organization, I'd laugh at you. I mean, this whole thing makes you look like a little school kid throwing a temper tantrum, and you're better than that, sir. You're far better than that. Now, the whole story should come out is that you spent all this money procuring land, moving forward for a baseball stadium, and all this other, using city assets, even though the citizens have yet to vote for a stadium. Now, you proposed you want to go for a vote, and the commissioner of baseball said, hey, put off the vote and I'll help you fund a special election. Well, that raised the bribery issue that I wrote about some time ago. Now, Mr. Mayor, I don't think any group of lawyers would go after the baseball's antitrust guarantee from Congress and prevail. I think that Major League Baseball owners, if anything, would be so irritated that they'd vote against San Jose just to spite you. So I think you're taking the wrong tack. And I don't like the fact that you're out there looking like a crybaby and threatening MLB when you have no leg to stand on. Thank you.
That concludes the open forum, concludes our meeting. We're adjourned.